This is a reframing of Kayla Boydstun's artifact titled Dangers of a Single Story. My reframing emphasizes that singular stories are partly based on fact and partly based on faulty perceptions which lead to fallacious conclusions. It's this cocktail mixture of part fact and part fiction that makes singular stories so powerful. My reframing discusses examples of singular stories existent within American society and why they are inherently perilous beliefs. Adichie Chimamanda states in her TED Talk that the single story creates stereotypes. And the problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but that they're incomplete. They make one story become the only story. For example, there are many Americans who view the country of Africa as a land of starving children, of war-torn societies, and of abject poverty. This single narrative has been reiterated repeatedly by major media outlets, including prominent newspapers. It's not that these stories aren't factual, but there aren't any alternative stories to try and balance a patron's viewpoint. American media seldom covers stories regarding successful African entrepreneurs because the conversation is often dominated by a single story. Lorna Ruto quit her bank job and started a successful waste recycling business in Kenya. Bethlehem Almu started her business, Soul Rebels, from very meager beginnings, but is now selling her footwear to over 50 countries worldwide. The book states stereotypes are widely held beliefs about some group. Stereotypes become particularly detrimental when they are negative and they are held rigidly. Research shows that once adapted, stereotypes are difficult to discard. There is a singular story shared within certain segments of American society that increased incarceration and longer prison sentences will lead to a reduction of crime. This typically leads police departments to adapt more aggressive policing measures. However, there is substantial evidence that community policing is more effective in combating crime. There are recent examples of how singular stories were used to vilify a group of people in order to win an election. You might remember Donald Trump stated that this about Mexican immigrants: they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, on his presidential stump speech. While it is true that Central America is a major source of drug supply to the United States, this fact alone should encapsulate the majority of Mexican immigrants who are law-abiding citizens. This is the inherent danger of singular stories. They lead to stereotyping, discrimination, and prejudice. The book says that the prejudice is an attitude, usually negative, toward a cultural group based on little or no evidence. Substantial research shows that there is very little evidence that Mexican immigration increases crime in the United States. If anything, there is some evidence that crime actually declines after immigrants arrive. See, singular stories matter because they can be used to both vilify and deprive a culture, or they can be used to empower and enlighten another culture. When we are able to reject singular narratives within American society and adapt a more balanced viewpoint, only then will we realize a more educated and enlightened version of ourselves. I hope you think about that. Thank you.